Okay. Why is what the hell? Yeah. Okay. First of all, that's not the right one. That. Okay. Now then. Um. Here we go. Okay, so the quality is HD. All right, fantastic. Everything is working, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy. It's happy times. Okay, so you're all probably wondering, Cody and Chloris, what are you? What are you doing? You don't record on PC. That's not a thing you do. What's wrong with you, you madman? And the answer is that since I've not freaking posted anything in a year, I finally had the balls to buy a professional microphone, and I have other stuff for it. I just haven't set up with the pop filter or like the custom boom thing, the stand. So I still gotta do that. I'm not totally finished, but I also bought this game, and the imperator got a laptop, a gaming laptop, and what else has happened? A lot. A lot is new. A lot is fun, hip, cool. What other words do the kids use these days? I don't know. What I do know is I think it's all working, which is an improvement from my first stream on PS4 when our mics didn't work. Did it even have a microphone? That was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even 6 years ago. God, my memory is god awful today. Anyway, so you're probably wondering, Cody, what are you doing? What's this? What's all this for? Where's the spinning cassette tape on screen? Why isn't it all just black? What's going on? Well, I'm gonna answer your questions in a second. First things first, though. Oh, it's been a long time since I had to do this. Okay, so we've not made a podcast video in like a year, as I've already mentioned. Okay, so what that means, essentially, is that we spent the past year doing a ton of stuff. Okay, we've totally reworked our board game. There's a lot of new rules to it. A lot of new, like if I just open up a notebook, this is all the stuff. Okay, like this is, if you're a longtime viewer and you remember Dr. Boston Brook, then you'll know what this is all about. But you won't know any of this stuff's all about. You won't know what any of it is. And I'm gonna make a different video dedicated to showing the format of the character sheets, so you guys know what you're looking at if I ever like go on here and show you. But that'll be for a different time. For right now, this is the planning of the new. I wouldn't call it a season because season implies continuity. This isn't a new. Okay, let me start from the beginning. I'm kind of disorganized at the moment. If you couldn't really tell, because I'm just trying to get this stuff to work. But it's working now, so I don't really care. Okay, so long story short, it's been a year, and we've been doing a lot of stuff new. We've gotten a lot of additions to the game. We've changed everything up. We've got different rules for abilities, different overall universal rules for stuff. So we have things like car combat and tank combat and planes and boats and different rules for how they work. Magic has other rules. There's a ton of more lore, and by a ton I mean like two books worth of more lore to go over. For just like everything, everything's got a bunch more information to it now. Um, so that's all fine and dandy. That'll all be good. So you'll hear about all that stuff as time goes on, and as we kind of go over the actual lore of like the series and stuff. And as the board game kind of progresses, you will get to experience the new lore with Imperator John and Xavier, aka John McFunkster, or this is what his character's name is in K2. Okay, so it's been a year. We've been doing a lot. The reason it's okay. So this stream is dedicated to editing my current plans for the new updated first mission of the main K2 campaign, because back when we still posted that series with Boston Brook and Helsing and stuff like that, those guys, when we posted those videos, scheduling was really difficult because we had to get 3 people who all had very different lives and all had different interests, kind of. We all had to get them to the same place, aka we all had to get them to Code's Corner in my basement at the same time for like a whole day. Now, for me, that isn't a big deal because this is my job and I write as a job, and this is like my life. So I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I don't have like friends. So the truth hurts, guys. So rather than that, I decided that it would be better to use a different software, like not get in person, because the other two have lives, and like John has like a full-time job, and good old Gabe, who played Dr. Captain Charles A. Lee, who you might remember from the original version of this series, he's not reliable with scheduling. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure if it's his fault or if it's the fault of somebody else. I personally think it's his fault to a degree, anyway. But that's beside the point. I'm not here to slander our friend. So he was a bit too unreliable to be counted on for these sessions. We couldn't rely on him to show up and stuff. So we would plan sessions, like I'm talking like a month in advance, and the day would come, but he wouldn't show up, and we would wait, and he would like after waiting like 2.5 hours or like an hour or two, we would get like a text from him saying like, oh, I can't make it. And then that of course ruined the plans for that day. We couldn't record without him because we only have a group of 3 people. That's not that difficult to get together. So the Imperator and I made the executive decision to remove him from any kind of long-term campaign requirements. That way he wouldn't feel pressured to come, we wouldn't get mad at him when he inevitably flaked on us, and we would all maintain a friendship without getting too angry at each other. So to replace him, John McFunkster, who's been on the show a few times, he plays Andrew Oid in the K4, and he played a K1 campaign with us, a one-shot with us. He's going to be playing this guy, and you'll find out if you haven't seen the first series. This is going to be very, very different. The original version of this series the original series was based around the idea that we were going to play weaklings thrust into a world of supernatural elements, and we would be like super weak, and we would have to like run from everything because we were super like bad beasts. We were going to get destroyed by like the first ghost that came at us. Unfortunately, that is not at all how it is anymore. These three characters have all gotten a lot stronger, primarily because Jason Van Helsing and Nathaniel Bostonbrook, they all have their own novelizations now. So, of course, in the works, not published, but they're in the works. So they're both very strong compared to where they started out the first series with. So to compensate for that, rather than like the last series iteration of this series ended mid combat. Okay, so I couldn't just start back up where we left off and say, yes, you know, whereas last episode we were all losing to a gang of vampires in a nightclub, now we're all super soldiers and are going to cut our way through this small army of vampiric patrons in order to get at our goal. Because that would have been the ultimate end result. Because these guys are just so strong. Now, before they weren't nearly as strong. They were pretty weak. At least Bostonbrook was pretty weak. Helsing was always pretty powerful. He's only more powerful now. And then, man whose name I hazard to try to pronounce. He's a demon warlock wizard man. So he's ridiculous. And he's a familiar and stuff too. So we are all a lot stronger. The board game has gone through so many updates, and we've gotten so many new rules, and we do things so differently now than we did when we were first recording the original series, that it's no longer possible to continue where we left off and act like nothing happened. Right? So, to compensate for that, we are going to totally restart the campaign, roll back time. Nothing in the previous series ever happened. When the first episode of this series goes up, I'm going to delete those previous episodes. So if you want to watch part of a campaign, then you can go watch that fraction of a fraction and laugh at their misery. Because this will be a lot more fun for us, because we will not be dying nearly as easily or as quickly. Yeah. So now that we have this software, Xavier has all the necessary stuff. I've got a microphone that works now. I've got a bunch of new equipment. I've gotten recording software from our PC. This has taken like a decade to do. So we really improved upon our previous setup. And this stream is about explaining that, but it's also about working on the upcoming campaign to replace the previous one. So the previous one was about our gang of wannabe adventurers on a mission to save the city of New Orleans from a secret cult operating in the city that was trying to turn the area into a hellscape by opening a portal to hell and sacrificing a bunch of people and working with the local underground vampire clans. Now, because the lore has changed so much and the magic system has been updated so much and everything is a lot different, that wouldn't have happened, primarily because vampires are their own entity and no longer cooperate with usual demonic cults. Now, there's reasons for that. Primarily because in order to become a vampire without being given vampirism by being bitten by somebody else, in order to become a normal vampire without relying on a bite, you have to worship Hell Undivided, which means you don't dedicate yourself to like Lucifer or Abaddon or Belial or anybody. You just worship like the place and the concept of it, I guess. And in doing so, you will gain access to demon energy, and then your body will mutate into either a vampire or a couple other variations. They are called the Unpledged because they do not follow a specific demonic entity. The Unpledged are hunted by actual demon worshippers because they aren't loyal to any one evil entity, I guess. And that lack of loyalty is seen as like dishonorable and like a crappy thing to do. So they get hunted for fun. So hence why vampires would no longer cooperate with a demon cult, because they're hostile to each other, even though they're on the same side, which kind of goes along with the whole kind of like hell chaos thing anyway. So I don't really, it fits well. Besides that, this new campaign, I'm not going to spoil too much of it. This is the map. This is actually a map from the Curse of Strahd from D&D 5th edition. If you've played the Curse of Strahd, you would recognize this version of the map, or this version of the map. This is the DM version. Either one of these you might recognize, or both. I don't judge. And I've stolen the layout of the house for this campaign, only because I don't feel like going in and making a custom, dungeon in this game, even though it's possible and I can do it. And I have other softwares that will let me create dungeons and then import them into this game and stuff like that. I can do it. It's just it takes way too long. So to remedy that, I'm going and just stealing this one. The rooms aren't the same, and the enemies aren't going to be the same. So if you're familiar with the Curse of Strahd, you'll know the layout, but you won't know anything else, because it'll all be different pretty much other than that. So, fun little changes there. My primary concern is with the part of the campaign after this. This is the first combat encounter that the PCs will have. That's planned anyway. They might decide to murder the shopkeeper or something, and that'll be a whole other debacle. But besides that, so this is the first planned combat encounter. The second one isn't, not that it isn't as good. I think it has a lot of potential to be good. The problem is, it's like the same thing as this, but marginally different. And I don't know if I want to change it up more. I don't have a floor plan for the second combat encounter either, because I only planned for the first episode to include it. To include the first one, it might have the second one, but the second one's a pretty small map. What I could do is I could email this to myself, or the PNG of the second combat encounter, and then I could import that into this game via a custom board, which I might end up doing if I feel like it particularly. But overall, I think it'll be easier. Okay. Because the second combat encounter is a lot shorter than this one. This one's the introductory one, so this one has a lot of exposition in it and a lot of more role playing. The second one is shorter. It's got a smaller dungeon, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't really know, because I like it, but it isn't as, I don't know. This is a difficult situation I found myself in, isn't it? Anyway, I can kind of go over what this game is like. If you haven't seen it, it's a very interesting game. I personally think it's one of the best assets for a tabletop role-playing group you could ever have. It's multiplayer. You can have private rooms and stuff, and set passwords to enter them. They have counters that help you keep track of health. There's the calculators in game that you can use to roll the dice. I can make music play. I have a bunch of custom stuff from the mod community, which is fantastic, and I hope to play some Cards Against Humanity at some point with somebody because, boy, is that funny. Um, so that's fun. Um, Other than that, like this game is great. So I can have like dice, and if I pull out like a bunch of dice, right, and then I highlight them all, and then I shake them around, it rolls them all at once, and then I can see the total number, which is fantastic because that makes my job so much easier than in person when I had to spend like 5 minutes mathing everything together. So that's good fun. I can have inventory bags, which I already set up. I have their health, so these are the health that they all have. Um, I even have their maximum set and stuff. If they can transform, I have that health separated. I've got a stopwatch so that if I ever feel like being a jerk and putting him on a timer, I can do that, and I can set the time of stuff. And these little minis are great. I have a bunch of minis. I have so many minis in this game, but it's great. So like, you really can't see them too well, um, but I might clone them and then scale them up so you can see them better. But this is a dude with a gun. This is a dude who's like a scholar. This is a like colors with a weird knife. And then we got like Boston Brooks like crazy form. If I can select it, kind of finicky. There we go. We got a sword drawn, and then we got demon version of X, and I can spin him, and I can like pick him up and move him around and stuff. It's a great game. This is a fantastic asset. This over here is a note, so this is where I put the initiative tracker. Everybody can see this constantly, so they can always keep track of initiative. So I don't have to like always look at this over to the side. They can do it themselves. Um, the notebook up here, I put all the character sheets already. So if they want to use an ability, I just say like, all right, a Helsing or whatever, go. You're gonna. If Imperator says I want to use my lighter, then I can scroll right here. Here's the lighter of evil, and I look at the stats of it, and I say, oh, does this my damage in that when doing this, and okay, what kind of thing, and roll it, and then I just go over here, drag out the dice, roll the dice, get a number, move on. Don't have to look at like your cell phone on a tiny screen to find Google Docs. It's great because we all have access to computers. We can all just skip over screens and go to our Google Drives and look at the actual character sheets if we really need to, which we shouldn't because it's all in here. But if we wanted to do that, we could. And you know what? We can Google stuff. This game has not that one. This one. That's a separate thing. Here we go. Has tablets that I can. Oh boy. There we go. It's got tablets, right? And the tablet is like a mini version of like your internet browser. So you can look up like photos of character art. You can look up you can Google stuff, Google facts, look up spells if you're playing D&D. You can do all that stuff right from in the game, even though you can just alt tab and just like look it up yourself or use your cell phone, but you can do it in the game if you want to be fancy like that. It's just this game has so many convenience features in it. It's fantastic, and I happen to quite be fond of it. If you can't already tell. So, anyway, back to planning the second session of the campaign. Currently, again, I don't want to spoil too much, so without saying anything that'll ruin the surprise. Okay, this is the map for the first combat encounter. The second combat encounter is a lot smaller and a lot less interesting because it's essentially just like filler to like add a buffer zone between big boss fights, because this is of course going to be the boss room here, and there's going to be another one in the third encounter, the third location. So I need something to break those up. One, to break expectations, and two, so they don't like die because they're on low health still and they didn't have time to like regenerate or heal. So I need to give them that time to rest and recuperate, still with a little bit of combat to keep it interesting for you guys. So the second encounter is a lot easier and a lot less interesting. That being said, it introduces a really fun new enemy that I think you'll all really enjoy. I might use it because I have to finish the other dungeon, because I haven't finished planning the third combat encounter yet, and the session is in 2 days. So I might just do that off camera. Yeah, I can do that off camera because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. So yeah, so this has just been a test stream to figure out how everything works, introduce you all to the new campaign a little bit before time. I will give you all, if you're all looking for a hint about what this new campaign's about, it doesn't feature any demons except for the guy whose name I can't pronounce properly. He is not half demon, I guess. He's like a polymorph. He's possessed by a demon. Anyway, it's long story short. So he's kind of a demon, but the enemies are not demons from hell. They're a different kind of extra planar entity. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be scary, hopefully. If I can do it properly, it's going to be pretty creepy. So I look forward to that. I'm going to play some creepy music on here, if I can find it. Probably not. It's fine, though. It'll be good. It'll be good fun. So I look forward to that. I hope you guys do, too. It should be streaming this coming Sunday, January 5th. Yes, at from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, I think. So I'm probably going to start a YouTube event that's like scheduled for then. So you guys get like the notifications and stuff like that. Yeah. This is just a kind of a half an hour quick testing stream video, update video, to kind of reintroduce you all to the channel as it is now, because it's very different from when it used to be, how it used to be rather. And I hope you all agree with me that it was a change for the better, because it's going to be, it should be, hopefully, should be pretty good. And if you are one of the few people who were like, I don't know, who might miss Code's Corner, as in like the three of us are in the same room together and have like body language, stuff like that, and can like communicate easier. Or if you're one of the players and are watching this, first of all, why? Because spoilers, you damn cheater. But second of all, we might at some point return to playing in person, or for like special occasions like a season finale. Maybe we'll come together in Code's Corner and we'll set up a camera and we'll actually record like the session properly, because this beautiful new microphone can do that, which is wonderful. So if that's a possibility for us, then I would love to do that too. However, this is just, as you'll see, I'm sure, when y'all get together, it'll be wonderful. This will be so much more simple and easier, and you guys will get to see the dice rolls, and we'll get to like, understand why we react to the things we react to, and how, like, why we react the way we do and stuff like that, rather than just staring at a spinning cassette tape for freaking an hour and a half and not understanding or having any context besides what I talk about. Now I can have visual aids, and I can import photos, and I can have dice rolls on the table rolling and stuff, and it's just the closest thing I could possibly get to rolling in person without having to like get dressed. So like currently, I'm in my pajamas on my computer desk in my living room at 1:30 in the afternoon, compared to having to set all this up in my basement or having to like make a map, which I wouldn't do, and having to like I wouldn't even have access to this. I wouldn't have minis if we were to do this in person. So or like a stopwatch or like a counter or anything. So this is just a million times more efficient, more convenient for everybody involved than trying to get people together in person because we might gotta get rides and people don't like going places and Xavier is like allergic to my dogs and stuff like that. So like, you know what? This is just a lot simpler, a lot easier. Um, Also, gaming streams are gonna come back because I got some fun things on PC and I got some fun games and I got some fun activities. And the Imperator also has some fun games. So we're going to be playing those together too. So look forward to that in the future. Anyway, I hope that this stream has been functioning properly. It should have been. I swear to God, if it wasn't, I'm going to strangle somebody. But I'm pretty sure it's working properly. Uh, yeah. So, in a couple of days, I will see all of you back around this table, but I'll be viewing it from this end because this is this gray box is fog of war, so they can't see what's back here. So this is just like a normal black spot for them because they aren't allowed to see my rolls or the DM copy of the board or anything like that. So yeah. So I'm gonna be back here the whole time, for most of the time anyway, and I'll move stuff around and I can do all sorts of fun things to them. So it's gonna be a good time. All right, I promise all of you, it's gonna be a wild ride. So with that, um, if you are happy to hear back from me after a year of not posting, give this stream a lovely like and a comment. If you have any suggestions for how I might use this program to further the game and make it even better, or tips or tricks or anything, let me know in the comments below. That'll also be nice. If you have any suggestions for this campaign, because Lord knows I need it, then you can hit me up in the comments below. You know, put some suggestions down. Subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I look forward to seeing you all back on Sunday for the first Series 2.0 of Quest for the Core board game K2 universe. So yeah.